So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another collaboration album review of the Shield on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today we're joined again by Senorita Sabrosura, and my daughter wanted to be also part of the review. So, we're here. First of all, Senorita, how are you tonight?
Good, good. How are you?
We're good. So we're here and we're gonna talk about an album, about a band that hasn't released an album like in 20 plus years. And it's the
Yes.
new one by Everything But the Girl, and it's called Fuse. And this is the album cover. And I, when you told me like, hey, Everything But the Girl is releasing an album, I have to admit, my knowledge of the band was the single missing. That was my extension knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people only remember that single, and it's been so long since they released music.
It has. And so I was reading, I was wondering, like, why has it been so long? And then I figured that both members in the band are actually a couple and married, and she released a lot of music, like solo music throughout the years. So they have been active, and I think some of them are producers. So that's why I think that they were out for so long. So yeah, but it's an album that I don't know, like if anyone was expecting it, but when I saw like Everything But the Girl and you sent me the singles, I'm like, wow, that's a name that I haven't heard in a long time. So
Yeah,
since
they are an English duo, and they actually started doing music, what you call sophistic pop, with jazz influences, and then in '94 they changed for electronic, and that's what the single that everybody knows, "Missing."
mhm. Yeah, and I miss you like the desert miss the rain.
Yeah, that was like really famous. Even in Puerto Rico, like you
Oh
could
yeah,
listen to that single in the radio and the discos.
I think they played that song a lot when I went out in the 90s in the clubs because it was like a dance music, but it was like a type of like, it wasn't like the Prodigy or something like super violent. It was like chill dance music, like more like what I would think like something you would hear like in a lounge, and where you're like something like that. So they're back again. So we're here to discuss this album Fuse that has 10 songs, and it's like a short affair, like at 35 minutes. So first of all, we'll start with you, Senorita. What were your initial thoughts of going into this?
Well, for me, it was a nice surprise. It's a pleasant album. I welcome it, like very happy. It's beautiful recorded. I like the music. I like the beats, and for me the most I like is the lyrics. I think the lyrics are pretty good. Like they're very simple, but you can relate to them.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, some of the lyrics are deep, and I think that the album as a whole is pretty enjoyable. Uh, so as you can see, I'm trying very hard to concentrate here, people.
Yeah, and another thing I like is Tracy voice. It's like it sounds like deeper and more mature, but it's a beautiful voice, and they're talented, and yeah, they've been making music, just not music together or music as everything but the girl.
Yeah. So yeah, the my initial thoughts of it was like, obviously this is like the type of music that I listen to all the time. But my first initial thought was like, wow, this sounds like where they left off in the 90s. It has a very 90s sound to it,
Mm.
because in the 90s that type of electronic music was very popular,
Yes.
and so it really sounds like the nine. It sounds like the progression from what they last did in the 90s, but very more modern production. So I enjoyed it. So of course I'm gonna get to what I probably didn't like as much from the album later in the video, but for now Let's talk favorite tracks. So, Senorita Sabrosura, what tracks stood out for you?
Well, the first track I listened was the single "Nothing Left to Lose." I immediately like it. I think that's what's one of the most big songs on the album. It's like a two-step beat. It has like a very pulsating bass. But what captured me from that song is the lyrics. Uh, and it made me think of the world we're living right now with the pandemic, the war, and everything. Because she says like, "Kiss me while the world decays, kiss me while the music plays." And that song, it sounds very 90s, and it reminds me a little bit of Eurythmics. I don't know if you remember that band.
Of course. How could I
And yeah,
forget
like
it?
you said, it sounds very 90s, but at the same time it has some freshness, and it sounds modern too. Like it's perfectly balanced for me.
Yeah, it does, and I think it's a good album opener, like you said. I
Mhm.
think they picked a good one to open the album because you want to open the album with something a little bit more upbeat. So yeah, I would agree with you on that one. So what other tracks did you?
The other song that I really like, it was Lost. For me, it's a very moving song, and I read that Ben, who wrote the song, he was like googling "I lost," and then he saw like from very important things to very banal things, like I lost my house, I lost my job, I lost my mother. Uh, but yeah, it makes you think, and for me, I identify like I lost my job, I lost my mother, and then he says like I just lost it. Like it's a very moving song.
Yeah. When I heard that song, I felt like, wow, Senorita Sabrosura is going to identify with this song because it's
Yeah.
and also the way that they're singing it. It's really, even though for dance music, it's when you think of dance music, you often don't think of like emotions or like deep
Um,
lyrics. You think of like something more superficial just to dance, but everything but the girl actually has some
it has
very poignant
deeper stuff.
lyrics. Yeah, deeper
Yeah, deeper
sense.
lyrics.
Yeah, and
The other song I like, I think we talked about this in text. You told me you like it too. Is "When You Mess Up." Like that song is like, okay, sometimes you need to hear a song like that. It says, "Don't be so hard on yourself," uh and then invites you to have a drink and smoke a cigarette. Like, don't be so hard on yourself. And it says something about, in a world of microaggressions, little human transgression, forgive yourself. And it's a well sung balance of classic sound, but with a fresh perspective.
no, yeah. I also enjoyed that track, and I could identify with that because the last year I had, it's so many changes, and sometimes you can be your own worst critic and be hard on yourself. So that song is like saying like talk sweetly to yourself. Don't be so
Yeah,
hard.
sometimes we are the worst with ourselves. Like, you can be like really a good friend, very kind, and say nice things to other people, but with ourselves, like we're harder.
Oh yeah.
So
So yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
I really enjoyed the whole album. I like the other single, like "Run a Red Life."
what is that
I
song
like how
about?
I'm sorry.
What is that song about? I was trying to
Well, I think it's not like a red light, like literally, like more metaphorically, like "Run a Red Life." Like,
yeah, because I was like trying to figure out what that song was about, but yeah, it's really catchy as well. So
yeah.
yeah,
I like it. Like, no one knows when we're dancing forever. I think karaoke it's a great closer for the because of the lyrics. So, what were your favorite tracks?
so I like Nothing Left to Lose as an opener. I think Caution to the Wind is interesting as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was interesting too.
Like, it should. That's a nice way of saying just fuck it.
Oh well, I like the order of the song because it's like nothing left to lose, caution to the wind, but you know what? Run around life and forgive yourself
Yeah,
when you
and
mess up.
yeah, I like when my favorite songs from the album. I think I like when you mess up a lot, because of the lyrical content, uh, and no one knows we're dancing. It's like great. It's like the world is in a bad state, so let's just like dance our troubles away. So yeah, there are 10 tracks. There's nothing that I would say particularly was bad about the album, so I enjoyed it, but those are the ones that I enjoyed the most. So did you find any negatives in the album?
It's not negative, but I think it's like a very chill album. I thought it was gonna be more upbeat because the first two singles like were very danceable, very upbeat, but most of the album is like more chill, more relaxed. I think this will be like a great album to put on headphones because it has like beautiful melodies, beautiful beats, and it's great storytelling too, but it's like super chill. Like if you go to the album expecting to listen more like nothing left to lose, like maybe you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I thought the album, even though it's like 35 minutes, I think it dragged a little bit because sometimes it was too chill. I'm like, maybe a little bit of like, I would enjoy a little bit more of variation in the music, because sometimes I thought like musically, like it was too soft sometimes, and I would doze off a little bit. Like, to me, some of the songs would sound like background music, like something that you put and do something else and not analyze. And that would be wrong, because there's some tracks that have some great lyrics, like the ones that we mentioned. When You Mess Up,
Yeah,
Easily Lost is a very, very poignant song. But I think they should have done maybe a few more songs that would be more upbeat,
yeah,
maybe in the middle. So I think the flow of the album would have been a little bit better, because it some parts it like I like those stuff when I was listening to it, because I thought it was too linear sounding, like
okay.
too. So that's the only negative. I didn't think any song was bad
No,
particularly,
no, I
but
understand.
yeah, I would think like a little bit.
But you have to think they haven't made music in 20 years plus. So this is a great comeback and they're in their 60s. They're in the 60s. They're like two veterans like putting music in their 60s like after 20 years of not putting music because they make music but not for the public.
No, yeah, it's really a good comeback album. Uh, I was listening to it for before talking here, and even my daughter was listening to it with me. So, Valentina, did you like the album? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Few words, but she said that she liked it. Uh, so final thoughts on the album and rating, Senorita Sabrosura.
Well, I think, like I said, it's a great album. It will be perfect to chill, to listen on headphones. And they're like really great, delivering melancholic and deeper lyrics, but sensual electronic music and sound. So for me, it's an 8.
Right. Yeah. So final thoughts for me. I think it's a solid comeback. I would have, like I said before, liked a little bit more variation, but it's still solid. So I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a solid
Okay.
album. I think the singles are the best ones, and obviously the one that we When You Mess Up and Lost are very like good as well. But that's the only thing. But yeah, great solid album by a duo that hasn't released music in 20 years. So we want to know from you guys, what are your favorite tracks from Everything But the Girl? Do you like this type of dance music? And comment, what are your favorite tracks? Let us know. And if you like the videos that I'm putting out, do not forget to give me a like and do not forget to subscribe. I have more content on the way. And I promise I will give him Ritalin next time so she fall asleep quicker. So don't forget to subscribe also to Senorita Sabrosura. And coming up next on the channel, I have more interviews with different type of bands. And if people who are watching this, like if you like Everything But the Girl and shoegaze music and some electronic, check out my interview with the band Terzo, which is a duo too, and they make like some electronic music with drone and shoegaze elements to it. So check that one out as well. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Children on the Couch.
Señorita Sabrosura.
And we'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.